On the night of September 19th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, a married couple, were driving home from a vacation in Niagara Falls. Betty and Barney Hill claimed they were taken aboard a spacecraft in rural New Hampshire. This is one of the most famous and earliest reported cases of alien abduction. Hello?
I hate being alive! I hate being alive! I hate breathing! I hate being alive! I'm in tremendous pain! I'm in tremendous pain! Help me! Help me! Help me!
I kicked the tripod really hard. That hurt. What's going on? This is a new YouTube channel. I thought I'd try something new. Want to do some spooky stuff, maybe some conspiracy theories. Anything else I find interesting, really. This will be episode 1, which will focus on alien abduction. So this is pretty cool. This is something that I find pretty interesting. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been terrified of the thought of being abducted by aliens. So to be honest, most of these alien abduction stories just sound like complete bullshit. I still find it really fascinating, even though it's really hard to believe. I'm just going to lay out what happened. And you can decide for yourself whether you believe it or not. To be totally transparent, this next part, I'm getting a lot of these details from Wikipedia. I'll leave a link to the Wikipedia page in the description. I am in no way trying to take credit for any of this information. I am simply just trying to share it to other people in a more entertaining way than reading Wikipedia. Oh, they got a doggy. Delcy, dude. So what is alien abduction? According to Wikipedia, very great source for all of your information, by the way, alien abduction, also called abduction phenomenon, alien abduction syndrome, or UFO abduction, refers to the phenomenon of people reporting what they believe to be the real experience of being kidnapped by extraterrestrial beings and subjected to physical and psychological experimentation. Typical claims involve forced medical examinations that emphasize the subject's reproductive systems. So Betty and Barney Hill were an interracial couple. Barney was black and Betty was white. Thanks, Wikipedia. That's really important information. UFOs, alien abduction, and mind control plots can also be part of radical, political, apocalyptic, and millenarian narratives. Yeah, I'm gonna get off of Wikipedia now. Around 10:30 p.m., while driving on US Route 3 near Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty noticed a bright point of light in the sky. At first, she thought it might be a satellite or a star, but as the light grew larger and seemed to move erratically, she urged Barney to pull over so they could get a better look. When Betty urged Barney to stop the car, as well as to walk their dog, dude, Delcy had to go pee-pee. Using binoculars, Betty observed an odd-shaped craft with multicolored lights. Barney, a pragmatic man and former World War II veteran, initially dismissed it as an aircraft. Apparently, several years earlier before this incident, Betty's sister claimed to have seen a flying saucer, so I guess Betty just thought maybe that's what she was seeing too. So they're driving home late at night from a vacation, and they seemed to be the only people on the highway at this time. And they noticed a bright light that seemed to get larger or closer to them. Then they just had a pair of binoculars on them, like everyone does. Initially, they thought it was a satellite. This is in 1961. I didn't know there were satellites then. Apparently there were, maybe. I don't know. I'll need to double check that one. I've never seen a satellite that looks like an alien spaceship. The closest satellite to an alien spaceship that I can even think of is Elon Musk's Starlink, which is like a train of satellites that moves in a line. I encourage everyone to go outside sometime when it's dark and look up in the sky and see if you see like 5 or 6 small lights all moving in a straight line right next to each other. It's kind of spooky when you see it for the first time. I'll throw up a picture just so you know what you're looking for, but that's just your boy Elon Musk, creator of X. It's a real good website. So I guess they just decided that, oh, it's nothing. It's just an aircraft or a satellite. And they decided to just get back in their car and go home. Dude, if I was driving home from vacation and it was already like 10:30 p.m. and I saw a UFO chasing me, I'd probably already be like half asleep driving. See a UFO. Oh man, fuck. I just want to get home, go to bed, and now I got to deal with a UFO, with aliens trying to probe me or something. As they continued driving, the object appeared to follow their car, moving closer and closer. Growing uneasy, Barney stopped the car again, this time near Indian Head, New Hampshire. He took the binoculars and walked into a field to get a closer look. To his shock, he saw a craft about 100 feet above them. Through the binoculars, he could see humanoid figures peering out of the windows. Betty claimed that it was at least 40 to 80 feet long and it was rotating. So if there's just an aircraft like floating above you and you see little humanoid figures in the windows. One remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message telling him to stay where you are and keep looking. Fuck that. I'm getting the fuck out of there. I would be driving so fast to get home. I'd lead them little fuckers right to my front door, dude. You know, I got something waiting for them at home. So I welcome them to follow me home. You knock on the front door, see what happens. If I like open the door with a shotgun, they're just gonna like blast me with a death ray and I'm just gonna like disintegrate. Terrified, Barney ran back to the car, yelling to Betty that they needed to leave immediately. No shit. They sped down the road, but the craft quickly descended and hovered above their vehicle, emitting a series of beeping and buzzing sounds. At this moment, both Betty and Barney experienced an altered state of consciousness and lost several hours of time. When they tried to remember what had happened in what order, as soon as they had heard the buzzing and beeping noises, their memory just completely was scrambled, I guess. So they start driving away again, and it stops above their car, and there's a bunch of lights and beeping noises. Very stereotypically sci-fi, if I had to say so myself. And apparently it filled like the entire view of the windshield. Apparently it reminded Barney of a huge pancake. They regained full consciousness about 35 miles south of their last remembered location. They felt an odd sense of confusion and disorientation but continued home. Once home, they noticed peculiar changes. Betty's dress was torn, Barney's shoes were scuffed, and both felt compelled to keep the luggage by the back door rather than bringing it inside. They also noted they had strange sensations and impulses they couldn't explain. Apparently their watches never worked again. There was a tear in the binoculars somehow that Barney didn't recall happening. And on top of the tear on her dress, she noticed some sort of pinkish powder on it too, which was not explained at the time. What happened to the car? Did the aliens take the luggage too? Did they just take you? Did they take the car? What happened? So for some reason, they both felt like they needed to keep the luggage by the back door instead of bringing it inside. Did the aliens throw an air tag in it or something? Like keep track of them? They had their 1961 iPhone. It said they were being followed by an air tag. Was there like green slime oozing out of the luggage? Like what is that? What could the luggage possibly do for you to not bring it inside? And Barney was really compelled to check his genitals in the bathroom for some reason and found nothing, I guess. So what were you trying to say there, Barney? You freak. I'm just kidding. Never mind. A few days after the incident, Betty began having vivid dreams about being taken aboard a spacecraft and subjected to medical examinations. These dreams persisted for 5 consecutive nights and then abruptly stopped, but left a lasting impression on her. In March 1961, the Hills sought help from a psychiatrist, Dr. Benjamin Simon, to address the anxiety and distress they were experiencing. Dr. Simon used regressive hypnosis to help them recall the events of that night. Under hypnosis, both Betty and Barney described in detail their abduction experience. So after the abduction happens, Betty begins having dreams about being abducted, where she's taken aboard the UFO and they do medical examinations on her. So like 2 years later, they seek help from a psychiatrist, Dr. Simon, who uses hypnosis to help them recall their experience. What even is hypnosis? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up actually. The induction of a state of consciousness in which a person apparently loses the power of voluntary action and is highly responsive to suggestion or direction. When I think hypnosis, I just think of like magicians or whoever trying to like use a spiral or like this pocket watch dangling in front of your face to try to get you to do whatever they want. So in theory, if hypnosis works, Dr. Simon can hypnotize them and then have them say whatever he wants to say. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I'm just throwing out these conspiracy theories. So in one of Betty's dreams, her and Barney were blocked on the road by a bunch of men standing around their car, then claimed to have been walked deeper into the forest and looking back at Barney and seeing that he was kind of sleepwalking or something. And these men wore these like military-ish uniforms, were like 5 feet tall, according to her. They were then led back to the car where the leader telepathically told them to just watch us leave. And that was it. Great dream, Betty. When Barney was under hypnosis with Dr. Simon, he recalled driving the car away from the UFO and somehow felt like he needed to pull off into the woods for some reason. Then noticed multiple men standing on the road and his car had stalled, and then some of them started approaching the car. Shitting my pants. Barney also recalled that he heard them mumbling in some weird language and did not remember them speaking in English telepathically to him, as Betty described. And apparently during Betty's hypnosis sessions, she recalled some of her dreams, and they all seemed to be pretty consistent with the details about their abduction and the way that the figures looked and stuff, which lends itself to being more credible, for sure. God, dude, I'm gonna fucking wake up tonight to some bright light shining in my window. According to their accounts, after the beeping and buzzing sounds, they were taken aboard a spacecraft by humanoid beings. Betty and Barney were separated and subjected to physical examinations. The beings communicated with them in English, but not through The beings communicated with them in English, but not through spoken words, rather telepathically. Do you see why this is starting to get into territory where it's just not very believable? So out of all languages that exist on this planet, aliens from who knows where. So, okay, these aliens could have been hanging around Earth for a while. Maybe they know every language that we speak on Earth. You'd think they would be communicating in whatever language they speak, but it gets even better. Because apparently they didn't even speak. They communicated to them in English telepathically. They communicated through their minds. Is this too coincidental? Or am I missing something here? They were examined with various instruments. Betty remembered a conversation with the leader of the beings where she was shown a star map, which she later drew under hypnosis. So let's say these aliens could speak telepathically in English. How does Betty all of a sudden know how to telepathically speak in English back to these aliens? I don't know, man. I mean, one of the most intriguing aspects of Betty's account was the star map she claimed to have seen aboard the craft. Under hypnosis, she drew a map consisting of several stars connected by lines representing trade routes and other stars that were less traveled. In the 1960s, Marjorie Fish, an elementary school teacher and amateur astronomer, studied Betty's star map. Fish concluded that the map closely matched the Zeta Reticuli star system, leading to speculation that the beings may have come from this region. Hey man, an elementary school teacher, also an amateur astronomer, concluded that this map looked like the Zeta Reticuli star system. Not to discredit this lady at all, but that is the equivalent of me, a fat unemployed loser, also amateur astronomer, saying that it came from the Zeta Reticuli star system. You know, you can't put a whole lot of faith into that one, or you shouldn't. The Hill story gained significant attention after it was published in the Boston Traveler in 1965 and later detailed in the book The Interrupted Journey by John G. Fuller. Their case was investigated by several UFO researchers and organizations, including the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. Okay, I just checked the recording and it stopped after 30 minutes, and I didn't have a microphone attached to my camera, so there was no audio, so I don't have a clue where it stopped recording. The Hills abduction story has been met with both skepticism and belief. Critics argue that the story could have been influenced by popular culture and media, pointing out similarities to science fiction films and books. Some suggest that the story was a result of sleep paralysis or other psychological phenomena. Supporters of the Hills account believe that the consistency and detail of their separate hypnosis sessions lend credibility to their experience. It definitely seems like these are aliens that humans would imagine. If any humans out there have actually seen any real aliens, no one would believe them, right? Unless all aliens just happen to look the same, which I highly doubt it. If there are aliens out there, logically, there's got to be more than one species, and they all can't look identical. It's all bullshit. So now I'm going to move on to some of the skepticism and main arguments against the Betty and Barney Hill incident. Sleep paralysis. Some skeptics suggest that the Hills may have experienced sleep paralysis, a phenomenon where a person is unable to move or speak while falling asleep or waking up, often accompanied by hallucinations. I personally have never experienced sleep paralysis. I hope to never experience sleep paralysis because everything that I've ever seen on it, it seems scary as shit. And I don't want to wake up, see some creature or some dark shadowy figure looming above me or in the corner of my room. No thank you. I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Hypnosis and false memories. Critics argue that the detailed accounts of the abduction could be the result of false memories implanted during hypnosis sessions. What I tell ya? Dr. Benjamin Simon, who conducted the hypnosis, was himself skeptical of the abduction narrative and considered it a fantasy. That's all bullshit. I don't believe there's all of it. Influence of science fiction. The Hills' descriptions of the aliens and the spacecraft bear similarities to contemporary science fiction films and television shows. Skeptics argue that their account could have been influenced by popular media, consciously or unconsciously. In a 1990 article called Entirely Unpredisposed, Martin Kottmeyer, don't know if I'm saying that right, suggested that Barney's memories revealed under hypnosis might have been influenced by the Bolero Shield, which was an episode of the science fiction anthology series The Outer Limits, which apparently had been broadcasted about 2 weeks before Barney's first hypnotic session. Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems to be too familiar with popular science fiction. Now, if something was like completely out of left field, they're like descriptions of things that no one's ever heard of before, probably more believable. The more that a story sounds like stuff that we've seen in movies, the faker it probably is. Betty's dreams. Betty Hill had vivid dreams about the abduction shortly after the incident. Some researchers believe that these dreams influenced her recollections during hypnosis and that Barney might have absorbed details from Betty's dreams consciously or subconsciously. Barney telepathically absorbed Betty's dream details. Barney was the alien all along. I'm getting to the age where I've had dreams where, I mean, sometimes they feel really real while I'm in the dream, and I wake up and I'm just like super depressed that it's not real. I'll have memories and I'll think back to something that happened, and I'll like say something to somebody about it and they'll kind of question it, and then it makes me really think, like, did that actually happen or did I just dream that? And I just remember it. I now just have it as a memory, but I can't distinguish whether it was real or from a dream, which is really scary. Inconsistencies and lack of evidence. There are inconsistencies between Betty's and Barney's accounts, both in their initial reports and under hypnosis. Skeptics argue that these inconsistencies undermine the credibility of their story. Despite thorough investigations, no physical evidence has been found to substantiate the Hills' claims. The marks on their car, torn dress, and other physical anomalies that are not definitive proof of an alien encounter. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of evidence here other than what they've said, and a little tear being on Betty's dress, and like scuffs on Barney's shoes. You know, like from walking. I'm not one of those people that needs to like see everything to believe it. I don't need evidence, whatever. But like, some things just aren't compelling enough or don't make as much sense. Skeptical investigations. The prominent UFO skeptic Philip KLASS argued that the Hills experience could be explained by mundane factors such as stress and suggestibility. He also pointed out errors and discrepancies in their story. The renowned astronomer and skeptic Carl Sagan noted that there were significant flaws in the evidence provided by the Hills, particularly regarding the star map drawn by Betty. He argued that the map was too vague to be considered solid evidence of extraterrestrial origin. Just for reference real quick, this is the actual star map drawn by Betty, while this is a star map of the Zeta Reticuli system, but also so is this. So I can definitely see where you're coming from, Mr. Carl. My guy Carl Sagan just comes in there. Yeah, this drawing that you did while you were under hypnosis doesn't look like anything. So, alternative explanations. Some skeptics believe that the light the Hills saw could have been a misidentified astronomical object such as a bright star or a planet. I've never thought that a star or a planet was getting closer, bigger, and following me around and like hovering above me. And then when I looked at it with the binoculars that I keep in my car, I've never seen like little humanoid figures like staring at me through the windows. Military aircraft. Given the location and time period, it's possible that the Hills witnessed a classified military aircraft and their memories were distorted over time through stress and suggestion. Could be. Don't know. There's no way to know. Unfortunately, Barney died of a cerebral hemorrhage on February 25th, 1969 at the age of 46. And then Betty died of cancer on October 17th, 2004 at age 85. Never having remarried. That's a nice little thing. Upon doing research for the Betty and Barney Hill incident, I read about a couple other abductions, and I guess these are kind of honorable mentions or ones that I just wanted to mention because I thought they were either interesting or like too obviously fake. Travis Walton was an American forestry worker, and he was apparently abducted by aliens on November 5th, 1975 in some forests near Arizona. Apparently most people think this one's a hoax, which is kind of funny. He worked with his future brother-in-law, Mike Rogers. Rogers had acknowledged in writing that their job had fallen, quote, seriously behind schedule and might not be completed by the deadline, unquote. That night, Walton and Rogers watched the UFO incident, which is a movie about the alleged abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. Oh, interesting. After the broadcast, Walton reportedly discussed the possibility of being taken aboard a flying saucer. And this was October 20th, and what, like 15-ish days later, coincidentally, on November 5th, their crew reported Walton missing. They recall driving back after sunset when Rogers stopped the truck and Walton walked into the forest towards an overhead light. Walton was illuminated by a beam of light and Rogers drove away with the others. The police got these search parties and they went out and wasted all this time searching for Travis Walton, obviously. And it's funny because apparently Travis Walton's mother kept consistently trying to call off the search parties. Like she just seemed to have no interest whatsoever in finding her son. 5 days later, Travis Walton's sister received a call from him from a phone booth. Our boy Philip J. KLASS again. They highlight a potential motive for the hoax was to provide an act of God that would allow the crew to avoid a steep financial penalty from Forestry Service for failing to complete their contract by the deadline. Which, dude, I get it. I'd totally do the same. Apparently in 2021, Mike Rogers, his brother-in-law or ex-brother-in-law, I don't know, he said that the incident was staged, but then later took back that statement for whatever reason. Apparently in some interviews he said that one of those like fire lookout towers was used to create the huge beam of light. I'm gonna read what the Wikipedia says about the incident. 6 members of the crew claimed they were driving down a forest road when they saw a lit object above the ground near the roadway. They reported that Walton got out of the truck and ran towards the object, which shone a light on him. What? You see a UFO light and you run towards it? Am I missing something here? They said they drove away in fear only to return 15 minutes later to find both Walton and the light missing. Around 1:30 a.m., the Navajo County Deputy Sheriff Kenneth Copeland, not to be confused with the godly Pastor Kenneth Copeland.
Do you ever use your private jets to go visit your vacation homes, for example?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Again, getting back to the comment, you said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
And Rogers visited Walton's mother. According to Copeland, when he informed her of the disappearance, she said, "Well, that's the way these things happen." Copeland said he was shocked by how calmly she took the news and her general lack of surprise. Walton, his older brother Dwayne, and his mother were described by the sheriff as longtime students of UFOs. The next day, on November 7th, a search party of nearly 50 people scoured the area but failed to find any signs of him. Here we go again with Travis's mom. Law enforcement were surprised when, after a few hours, Travis's mother told them, "I don't think there's any use of looking any further. He's not around here. I don't think he's on this earth." Bitch, are you in on this too? Travis's mom could have at least acted like she cared a little. That might make it a little more believable. What an idiot. During an interview, Dwayne revealed that he, Travis, and their mother were UFO buffs who had previously discussed that if they had ever saw a UFO, they would immediately get directly under the object because the opportunity to go aboard a UFO would be too great to pass up. Dwayne repeatedly insisted that Travis was not even missing. He knows where he's at, and I know where he's at. On November 9th, law enforcement continued to search for Travis until late afternoon when Walton's mother again requested the search be halted. Dude, this bitch hates her son. So apparently on March 19th, 2021, Travis Walton's brother-in-law, Mike Rogers, posted this to Facebook, quote, "I, Michael H. Rogers, being of sound and rational mind, do hereby give notice that I am no longer to be considered a witness to Travis C. Walton's supposed abduction of November 5th, 1975. He later clarified, Travis tried to keep a new remake of the movie a secret from me. He has always had his big secrets that he's kept from me. It angered me. I tried over the last 2 weeks to reason with him, but of no avail. I don't believe Travis is an honest person, and therefore I want nothing to do with him." And apparently on April 30th, Mike Rogers was on a call with a producer, Ryan Gordon, who was working on a film about the incident, and the producer, Ryan Gordon, had recorded the call without Mike Rogers' knowledge and then posted it publicly. "We were talking in the woods one day. We were talking about creating a UFO hoax, okay? I don't know how the UFO got there, but I remember when I was driving the truck and he jumped out, it was all deliberate. It was all a staged thing, okay? He ran up there and there was something about the UFO not being real, although it looked real." But then later, Mike Rogers and Travis Walton became friends again. And then Mike Rogers retracts his statement. What a coincidence. I mean, I think this one's pretty obviously faked from their reactions from the family, especially his own mother, who just didn't give a shit about him, you know? It's kind of crazy. I've got two more quick honorable mentions. Antonio Vilas BOAS. I apologize. Apparently he was a Brazilian farmer who had claimed to be abducted by aliens in 1957. So apparently when Antonio was 23, he was farming when it was dark to avoid the heat, and he saw a red star in the sky, which got closer and then appeared to land in the field right in front of him. Apparently, he then turned and ran away like any rational human being. Thank you. Wikipedia says he was seized by a 5-foot-tall humanoid who was wearing gray coveralls and a helmet. Its eyes were small and blue, and instead of speech, it made noises like barks or yelps. 3 similar beings then joined the first in subduing BOAS, and they dragged him inside their craft. So, 3 little alien dudes come out with coveralls and helmets on, and they sit there and bark back and forth to each other. Antonio said they ripped his clothes off and covered him in gel, and apparently they took blood from his chin, which, sorry you dumb aliens, but us intelligent humans know that taking blood from someone's chin isn't a very optimal way in taking blood. Then he claims he was taken to another room and left there for a while, and some kind of gas was pumped into the room and it left him sick. Here's where it gets interesting. I'm quoting Wikipedia word for word here. Shortly after this, Antonio claimed that he was joined in the room by another humanoid. This one, however, was female, very attractive, and naked. She was the same height as the others, with a small pointed chin and large blue cat-like eyes. The hair on her head was long and white, but her underarm and pubic hair were bright red. Bro, these aliens are freaky. Antonio said he was strongly attracted to the woman, and the two had sexual intercourse. Can you imagine, like, fucking a hot alien? When it was over, the female smiled, rubbing her belly and gestured upwards. BOAS took this to mean that she was going to raise their child in space. The female seemed relieved that their task was over, and BOAS himself said that he felt angered by the situation because he felt as though he had been little more than a good stallion for the humanoids. So this dude claims that he was abducted by aliens to fuck one of the aliens, so that alien can raise their baby in space. Then he became a lawyer, got married, had 4 kids, and then stuck to the same story for his entire life. Dude claimed to fuck an alien. That's the only reason why this one is on the list. All right, real quick, this is the last one. This was just found on the Wikipedia page titled UFO Sightings in China. In 1994, MENG ZHAOGUO, so they followed this shiny object that was near Phoenix Mountain. The object apparently landed on a farm. Mr. Ming went to go check it out and then was covered in this huge beam of light. It reported being taken to their spacecraft and forced to copulate. Which, if you didn't know, that means fuck. These aliens took this dude in and forced him to have sex. Then, apparently 7 days later, he was abducted from his house and shown pictures of Jupiter, which the entities claimed was their home world. Have you seen Jupiter? Nothing can live there. Apparently, his story was examined by the UFO enthusiast clubs at Wuhan University throughout 1997. They concluded that while the initial contact may have occurred, the subsequent reported events were almost certainly untrue. What's up with all these aliens trying to have sex with humans? I don't know that I'd refuse. What's up with all these people having sex with aliens? I mean, I get it, dude. You got to bang a hot alien chick. Congrats. That officially makes you cooler than anyone else that's ever existed ever. But yeah, I hope to make some more videos about some other spooky topics or conspiracy theories or whatever. If anyone has anything that they would like for me to cover, leave a comment, let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Unfortunately, Barney died of a cerebral hemorrhage on February 12th,